Okay, so Carnival Jiren is finally on his way to the global side of the game after all of this time. Global players, stand up, clap, scream to the heavens, rejoice, whatever you want to do, because the sync up is basically very nearly complete at this point in time. Jiren isn't quite yet out on global, but he will be coming very soon. Now, to briefly explain what I am talking about in case you guys don't know what I'm getting at, basically we had a data download take place about 2 or 3 days ago now, and within that data download, we had a bunch of different things. We had some new quest mode stages, some new content, a Dokkan awakening for the free-to-play Frieza, who is now a free-to-play Frieza / Final Form cooler. So we had those things take place for the JP and the global sides of the game. However, with the global data download right here, and shout out to Proton10MG, one of the GOATs when it comes to data download information, we also had some other stuff as well. We had an Infinite Dragon Ball History stage related to the Tournament of Power theme. We had some new stages for the God of Destruction sides of the fight right there. We had an Easy 8 coming for the representatives of the Universe 7 kind of category. And also, we had the awakenings for the Universe 6 characters, and also these can all be reflected in the global side of the Dokkan Info website. So this is a great resource. I definitely recommend checking this website out if you guys have not yet. But you see right here, of course, the Dokkan awakenings for the Universe 6 characters, also those EZAs for Piccolo, 17, 18, and Skinny Boo, who are Universe 7 category characters. So all major stuff, and basically with this on the global side of the game, this is basically hinting to all of us that Jiren is going to be coming very soon now, which it's been expected for quite some time because, you know, the devs, they said that at the very latest, by the end of this year, they want to make sure that all of the missing characters between Global and JP will show up on the global sides of the game. And obviously, we're coming to the end of November, so this was kind of like a very serious thing that they had to address very soon. So yeah, this is all kind of pointing towards Jiren coming to the global side of the game, which is huge because also, he's the final missing character. He is the Part 2 Carnival LR to the Tanabata celebration, so he has a lot of significance. We just had Master Roshi come to the global side of the game, I believe about a month ago now, around the same time as the Planet Namek Vegeta, right, the Dirty Fireworks Vegeta. So yeah, this being the final character, him finally coming to the game, this is awesome. Now, we do want to talk about a few important things when it comes to Jiren. So first of all, how is it going to work with his introduction? What are they going to do exactly to kind of bring him into the global side of the game? Before, actually a while back, I made a video talking about what I thought they could do for Roshi and for Jiren, so I recommend you guys check that out, of course, if you want to see my thoughts, but it's not really relevant now necessarily because they already introduced Roshi. So with Roshi, what they did, which is actually something I thought they could do, and I actually mentioned in that video, they decided to go ahead and introduce Roshi with his old JP banner basically on the global side of the game simultaneous with the current Dokkan Fest character at the time. So based off that reasoning, what we can pretty much assume is they're probably going to introduce Carnival Jiren's banner at the same time simultaneously as probably the end of November Dokkan Fest, who we've yet to see who that's going to be. But I mean, that's probably what they're going to go ahead and do. And just to kind of show you guys what the banner looks like, this is basically what the banner looked like on the JP side of the game. I think it's pretty safe to assume this is exactly what it's going to look like on the global side of the game when this banner eventually comes live for Jiren, of course, to be out on global. So you see, of course, Carnival Jiren in all his glory. You see Tech Jiren and also the Int Super Saiyan trio from the Super Android 13 movie. So these are going to be like your main kind of featured LRs. Also, of course, we do have the Hachiyak movie Goku as well, right? Like the Goku, Gohan, Trunks, Piccolo, and Vegeta versus Hachiyak movie. So we have that Goku as well, Carnival LR. We do have the Int Topu, who's like the Universe 11 kind of a character right there. Int Android 16, 18, and then 17. So these two kind of fit nicely because they do have those easy A's to kind of fit the whole kind of Tournament of Power theme. And then also we have Super Vegeta and the Metal Cooler Super Saiyan Goku. So, you know, the banner is not perfect. It's not. I wouldn't say it's like an overall fantastic banner, but it is also like a double, you know, it's a double rate banner basically. It's I think, what's it called? It's like a Rising Dragon Carnival, so it's got some nice things to it, of course, you know, and this is probably how the banner is probably going to look like for the global side of the game. I am more than happy if they tweak this, maybe add some better characters for these other kind of SSRs, but I'm assuming this is probably what's going to happen, and I'm sure this is probably a safe expectation for global players going into this banner if you guys decide to go ahead and pull for Jiren. And I think this is actually a pretty decent banner in and of itself because of a couple things. One, as I mentioned, you know, 18 and 17, they do fit with the whole Tournament of Power theme. They got the Easy A's. You know, Topo, he fits well into the Universe 11 team, of course, so he's going to be pretty nice there. Tech Jiren, by the way, he is not that crazy with his Easy A, but as far as a linking partner is concerned, he fits perfectly with Carnival Jiren. I mean, if you guys have seen me use those two on my teams before for like the Universe 11 fights and stuff in the past, these two just work so well with each other, and obviously it makes sense, they're both Jiren, but still, it just works so nice. So I really do love that, of course. And I mean, I think it's a decent banner, but it's not that crazy good, so I think you have to make the best decision for yourselves in terms of if you want to chase for Jiren or not. Me personally speaking, as someone who has a 55% Jiren and everything, I will say I don't think it's necessary to chase after Jiren. However, I will not deny, I've had a lot of fun with Jiren. When I had him, like right away, he was one of the most fun units I've had throughout this entire year, I will say that. Running him with Universe 11 with the Tournament of Power, I've been enjoying that team. That's one of my favorite teams throughout this year, even more so I would say than superheroes. So I'm just going to say that. But, you know, we also should probably talk about what Jiren does, just in case people are not familiar, because, of course, you know, Global, you guys have not seen Jiren before in game, so let's go ahead and break him down, of course, in case you guys have forgotten what he is capable of. So I've mentioned him in my, like, top 10 LR vids and everything. Basically, what he is capable of is he is a 200% leader for the Universe 11 and Universe Survival Saga categories. So bear that in mind. Carnival LR, it makes sense. He's a really good leader. So there is that. When it comes to his super attack effects, he's kind of straightforward, just Oonga Boonga damage. However, with the 18 key, he does have a high chance to stun in his base form right here. So that's kind of helpful, especially like certain stages where you can stun. So do bear that in mind, of course. Also, with his passive skill, I've said it before in previous vids, but basically whoever designed Jiren, I like to make this joke, but it's kind of the truth, is that whoever designed Jiren basically made sure to make his kit as Jiren as possible. It's not complicated, there's not a lot of bullet points as you may see with Tech UI or someone else. It's just straight to the point, it's very simple, and it does what it does really well. So you see crazy stat boost right there. For the first turn the Jiren shows up, he's disabling enemy action, 50% damage reduction just in general, a boost to his stats when attacking, a further boost to his stats, and also a great chance to perform a crit and additional damage reduction right there as the second or third slot unit. So he's very simple in terms of his design and what he has to offer, but he does it really well, I will say that. Also, I mean, this is what people really love about Jiren, is the standby for 5 turns, right? So standby from 5 turns, starting from the 3rd turn from the character's entry. So that is a very accessible kind of condition right there. And once you go into a standby, he just becomes one of the best tanks, if not maybe the best tank in the game. I don't know if he's necessarily the best tank in the game with his standby, but he's definitely up there for one of the best, because basically he loses the ability to attack, but he has a crazy defensive boost. He's giving key to his allies. He has that 50% damage reduction plus another 11% per key sphere obtained, so that's really easy to kind of boost up, boosting his defense when receiving the attack, orb changing right there to help him get that damage reduction. And also in the 2nd or 3rd slot, he is even supporting his allies for 2 turns in terms of attack boost, so that is all really cool right there. And also Jiren's art, man, I mean, I've said it I think before as well, Jiren is just such a badass. This unit specifically is so badass. The OSTs, the art design, he's just so awesome. So, I mean, I don't think I have to explain that too much, but he just looks crazy, of course. And also with his standby skill, of course, we do want to talk about it. Basically, he has a charge count mechanic, similar to like Tanabata Super Saiyan 4 Goku from like a year ago, right? So basically, you get the charge count 25 or more, then you can awaken him into his full power mode right down here. Otherwise, you go back into his base form, you get that kind of boost right there for 3 turns, but that's basically it. So you do want to get him into his full power mode, and once he goes into full power mode, he's just a better version of his base form self, right? The aura, by the way, is just so crazy. But we see right here the same thing, Oonga Boonga damage for 1 turn, no stacking, of course, but the guaranteed stun now on the 18 key. So there is that, of course. Also, we see with the passive skill, even better stat boosts, even better flat-out damage reduction. He has a scouter for the first turn that he shows up. Also, another 11% damage reduction for that first turn, so that's really helpful. Additional stat boost right there when attacking. Great chance to perform a crit in general now, plus additional chances of performing a crit with each super that's performed. He's getting a guaranteed hits with his attacks and everything when key is 24. And also, this is kind of an interesting kind of mechanic here, per se. He's boosting his attack permanently throughout the fight with each super that he receives in general. It doesn't matter if he's slot 1, slot 2, slot 3. Basically, he is asking you to put him in a position to take the super so that he can get stronger and do more crazy damage. So, Jiren, I've said it again. I said it in this video. He is one of the most fun units I've played with throughout the entirety of this year. I really do love him. I don't think he's necessarily worth chasing after, especially if you're not someone who has a plethora of stones saved up, because the 10th anniversary is right around the corner, basically like in 2 months now. And with the 10th anniversary, I think it's very safe for all of us to assume there's going to be a pretty interesting 10th anniversary power creep of some sort of variety. We don't know what it will be, but it's probably going to happen. So based off of that logic, I think it's pretty safe to assume that it's probably not wise to chase after Jiren, especially if you don't have a lot of stones to spare in the first place. However, I think it's also important to kind of just sing Jiren's praises, because at this point in time, it is unfortunate, but he's not necessarily, I would say in my opinion, as well as a lot of people would say the same thing, he's not necessarily a top 10 LR anymore, or a top 10 unit in that regard. However, he's still pretty powerful for sure. He's just not at that crazy level like he was when he originally released back in July or so for JP. So I will sing his praises, but I also want to be practical about him in terms of giving the best honest information for global players, especially because JP, we already had Jiren come out. We had our options to make the choices and everything. For global, now it's coming to you guys, so you guys need to be well informed. So that's just what I want to do right here. Also, one thing I do kind of want to mention, of course, again, with his linking, he works really well with the Tech LR Jiren. We see that right there. He is actually a free-to-play farmable, technically, because he starts off in that base form Jiren, so we can kind of use the Tech free-to-play Jiren right there to farm him up. And also with the categories. Universe 11, of course, Universe 5 Saga. He leads both of those, so it makes sense. Realm of Gods, of course, really nice full power transformation boost. Space Traveling Warriors, Power of Revival, which is basically powerful comeback. Defender of Justice, Battle of Fate, tournament participants, and super bosses. This is something I also want to kind of touch on here before we end the vid, of course, which is that, super bosses, if we look at the category, there are a couple different kind of variants you can do, right? You could do a future saga theme with like the Rose and everything. You could technically do a super bosses lead with Broly and kind of run a mishmash of characters. Obviously, Cellmax is a fantastic character within the super bosses category. But, for me, one of the teams I prefer to use for any super boss mission is the Tournament of Power theme, or the Tournament of Power category, because, most of the characters that are really good, they fit into super bosses, right? So, for example, we see Carnival LR Jiren is there, of course, so that's 1. We see Tech LR Jiren, so that's 2. Physical Hit, I actually use him. He's actually part of super bosses as well, so he's 3. I mean, you could see some other characters, for example, Topo, so that's 4 right there. So, you can kind of see where I'm getting at. Kefla down here. So, super bosses now, there's this weird kind of issue for me with super bosses where a lot of the powerful units don't necessarily link with each other all that perfectly. However, with Jiren being out with all the Tournament of Power upgrades and everything throughout the whole year, Tournament of Power now has a pretty strong super bosses team in and of itself. It's not the peak of peak, I would say, but it is so cohesive, it is so good working together. So I really like the Jiren's out now, because obviously that's an option for players if you guys want a cohesive, really powerful, super bosses team. Obviously, if you want to run a Universe 11 team, it's kind of underratedly good, but Jiren, because he leads the category, he makes that team so much more powerful, especially because it doesn't have that many options, so Jiren just really makes it a lot crazier. So that is all I just want to kind of talk about with Jiren. Obviously, what his banner looks like, of course, how he performs, the category he fits into, and all that sort of stuff, because, again, if you want to chase for Jiren, if you don't want to chase for Jiren, that is up to you. I would say it's probably not wise to summon for Jiren for the best bang for your buck. But at the same time, I encourage players to do what they want to do to enjoy the game, of course, right? So that's what I will say. But at the same time, I want to make sure you guys are well informed in terms of knowing what Jiren is capable of, what he is not capable of, how good is he relatively to like other characters and stuff. So just to understand all of those sorts of things. So that's just what I want to say right there. And obviously, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. Jiren is finally coming in the global side of the game. I'm so hyped for you guys. I'm so happy for you guys to finally get Jiren, for the sync to basically be behind us now. I mean, it's been a long time coming. It really has been a long time coming after all the pain and suffering the global went through after the anniversary going into the Worldwide Celebration campaign. Now it's basically over, and it's just freaking-tastic. But in any case, that is where we're going to have to go ahead and end the vid. If you guys enjoyed the vid, by the way, definitely drop a like down below. Subscribe to the channel, of course, to show your support to the channel and myself. And also comment down below, are you guys going to be going ahead and summoning for the Carnival LR Jiren? Let me know in the comments down below. And also check out some of the other vids on the channel as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.